Alright, let me redo this a little bit. I'm gonna redo that, like, bit explaining that, because that is actually kind of important. So, we're gonna build our actual ratings here, and I've already got a couple started here, so meta / OP. This is pretty obvious. These are the characters that really don't fit into the off-meta conversation, because they don't have a meaningful off-meta build, or they're just so overpowered that it's just not even worth talking about. Like Neuvillette. Neuvillette absolutely fits that conversation. Then we have the meta breakers. These are the ones that, like, sit just outside the meta. Like, basically that one little push is all they really need to get there. And these are characters that are super strong, fit, like, a couple of really good builds, but maybe not in that same conversation as, like, Neuvillette. And I'd put, like, a character like Geo in there. Hey, DBZ fan, welcome to the stream. For our A rank, I would put, like, premium off meta. Premium, let me just get this typed up right. Off, why do I keep putting a space? Off meta. So these are characters who are relatively okay, like they're good. And if you can build them right with the right amount of investment, like they're gonna get you there. You can do a ton of stuff with them. Characters, they're like sometimes often very flexible, they're strong, they can do a lot of really cool things, and they fit the bill of like off meta without like compromising your gameplay. And for my money, I would put a character like, I'd put Ito in there. I think Zhao has a meta breaker. He has Farazan, so he is meta. Well, Farazan's going to be rated separately. What is he without Farazan, right? We'll get there when we get there. Like, we're getting ahead of ourselves, Sander. Don't worry. IA has fallen off hard IMO. We'll get there when we get there. We're just defining our roles right now. Let's define what we're working with, and then we'll move, and then we'll get into the nitty-gritty. So that's our premium off meta. These are characters who are very good, they don't sacrifice a lot for gameplay, but they don't fit the mold of a meta character, and they don't seem like they're going to be getting there anytime soon. For our B rank, this is going to be... they're fine. Playable, serviceable, get the job done most of the time, but you definitely feel at this point like you're playing a character that is just a little weaker than everybody else. So, a character that would fit this mold, I think, pretty well, and sums it up pretty iconically, would be Dory. They're fine. They're not really in any conversation, but you can use them in different teams and have them be all like, yeah, they're fine. Yeah, exactly. Not the best choice, still good. Good enough, though. Like, they're good enough. And then C rank is going to be just bad. These are characters that, like, aren't really redeemable at this point. Because they've either fallen off so far into oblivion, or, like, there's not really much you can do with them. Even with, like, a ton of investment, putting a shit ton of stuff into them, you're not getting anything out of them that's worthwhile. This is probably going to be only populated by one character, if I'm being honest. We'll see if there's another one, but we know who's going there. Here we go, and we're going to call this tier the No Home. No Home. This is a weird one to conversate on, but, like, there's definitely a few characters that fit the off-meta conversation / meta conversation, but there's nothing to do with them yet. Her C1 fixes her problems. Oh, yeah, totally. So, this last tier is basically going to be exclusively for characters who you look at them, you see what they're doing, and you're like, that's a good thing you're doing, but I don't know who we're doing it with. Like, we're missing something. And there's no better example of this. And again, I don't know how many characters are going to end up in this tier. I don't think there will be many, if any, other than... if I can find her on this list... Candace. Candace sums up that tier spot flawlessly. So we have our tiers. We've defined them. We know what each one represents. So let's start going through this and break down every single character, and we'll go from there. To note one other thing, though. For characters who are still very meta, and we'll get to a few of them, if they have a off-meta build or a build outside of their normal niche, we'll talk about that and we'll account for that when rating them. So, like Bennett, I know, has a DPS build, so we'll probably talk about the Bennett DPS build in lieu of talking about his normal buff build. So let's work our way from the bottom now. We have our tier list, we have our rules. Let's get to it. So, Paimon is nothing. We're not going to talk about Paimon. The Travelers. We have 2 indicators for Travelers here. So, let's start with... Unfortunately, if only we had more non-playable characters, we could throw them in as our Travelers. But let's assume our first Traveler here... We'll talk about Dendro Traveler. We'll talk about Dendro Traveler because they're the odd one out. The other Travelers have their own individual niches, but Dendro Traveler has a lot of play. And I think I want to talk about that one first. So where do we put Dendro Traveler? Because Dendro Traveler doesn't really have any other iconic builds for them to work with other than, like, Dendro stuff. And they are one of the better options for doing such a thing. So, where do you think this lands them, chat? Because you could put this, you could argue this is meta. Can we view chat? Good idea, actually. Let me see if I can get a chat log going. But, yeah, Zhao has a very, very strong team, but is that the best team in the game? Is that the team that everyone will say, oh, you have to have Zhao? Well, no, it's not. Right? No, like, no one, very few people talk about Zhao in, like, a, oh, wow, he's so good sense, right? Yeah, he's a good team. Definitely, but I don't think he fits that. He doesn't fit, like, the same level as what the meta is right now. So, yeah. Also, I'm talking, like, yeah, sure, they're part of a team, but, like, I'm talking, like, just on their own, to a point, right? Like, how appealing are they on their own? And I'd say even without all of his, like, support, he's still pretty appealing. Like, obviously you want, like, you have a whole team with them, but, like, does that team have flexibility? Whatever. Like, there's so many things you can talk about in that conversation. That'll make Aiko mad. Yo, here's a straight-up thing about... I wish Aiko was here, because she could comment on this. I have never met a Zhao simp that main Zhao. Like, ever. It's so weird. Dendro MC is a meta breaker. I feel like, yeah, I think that actually, I vibe with that. They fit into the meta. They work their way around it. And they're a good option in it. But they're not the peak. As for the other Travelers, we'll just have this be like every other Traveler. And I feel like we put them in there fine. I think when a meta character is a strong character, I'm not saying a meta character is all that. They are the strongest of the strong. To fit into this meta, and the meta Genshin find itself in, you gotta be ridiculous. Like, you gotta be a Neuvillette, Xinqiu, Zhongling. Like, the bar is massively high right now. And a lot of characters got pushed out because of that. Amber, we know Amber is probably floating around here. Yeah, I think this will be nice for these kind of videos. I don't think the chat's always going to be there. Bad. Amber has melt teams, but are they good melt teams? And I hate doing this because I like Amber. And the problem with Amber is, like, similar to Aloy, where it's, like, mechanically speaking, like, there's just weird stuff in her kit that's just, like, there's... Like, are you a charge shot character? Are you a support character? Do you do, like... Like, what are you doing? Unfortunately, I think I gotta put her in just bad. Like, she just doesn't do it. As much as I like her. Just not. It's just not great. Kaya. Ooh, Kaya's an interesting conversation, because Kaya's very good. I think she's supposed to be a DPS. Yeah. You shouldn't have to think about it, though. You should just know, right? I wish she had a bigger charge shot multiplier. Anything, really. Premium off meta. Yeah, you know what? Like, he's either premium off meta or even meta breaker, potentially, because he's so good. Kaya's so good, and he does a lot of teams really well. Like, you can make him pyro and he's good and just do self-melts. You can make him straight cryo and he's solid. You can do physical with him and it's good. Hell, you can just do support with him and it's probably his best role. Yeah, definitely premium at least. I'm gonna go with premium. I like that. Lisa. Okay. Lisa's interesting. Because Lisa actually has a niche that I happen to like a lot. It's a very good niche. And I've shown the team off. People don't believe me for some reason. Fine, I think. I think you might be fine with fine. But I've shown her team off multiple times. She's a great Hyper Bloomer. She's a great off-meta choice for a Hyper Bloom team. Like, Hyper Bloom is very meta, but she's like the off-meta pick for it. She's really good at it. The Lisa team is a Hyper Bloom team using Nahida, Shinsho, and an additional Dendro character of your choosing, usually a healer. So, yeah, it's just double Dendro, Hydro, and her doing Electro procs. And it's a really strong team. And then when you bring her constellations into it, she gets really good, potentially, because her damage is really high. Her multipliers are massive. It's just getting the constellations are horrendous. Constellations release is so good, but no banner. Yeah, maybe one day. Maybe one day. But until then, they're fine. They're just fine. Razor. How do we rate Razor? He's a physical character. But also an Electro one. So, I'm gonna argue with you on this one. I actually don't think bad is right. Because as a physical carry, I don't think he's good. I think he's not. I would agree he would be bad. But as a Hyper Bloom driver, if you really want to build off meta with him, there's an argument to be made here, you know? Hyper Bloom / the Burgeon stuff is pretty good. It's not bad. Razor has Thundering Fury, which is really good. Yeah, just on paper, Thundering Fury is just really good. I think I want to move him up to fine. I don't think he's bad anymore. I think Dendro Soup Razor, I think, is, like, fine. Hell, even, I almost want to put him in premium, because, like, it's a really good team. Like, it's really strong, right? Yeah, well, we're getting the Zhongling. Zhongling is next, but we know where that one's going. Like, this is an... I think this is, like, it's not an argument for bad. This is an argument between these two. I guess he's fine, not premium. Okay. Okay. Understandable. Fair. Alright. Zhongling, we don't think we need to talk about this. I don't think we need to talk about this. I don't think there's much of an argument to be made here. They don't really have any other builds worth talking about. We know exactly what you're doing with them. And even their off-meta builds, like the places you put them that aren't their normal fare, end up being meta still because, like, she's just so good. Beto. Beto is absolutely what I would call premium off-meta. In my mind, she is premium. She is so strong. Her damage is high. Great Electro application. Some really cool mechanics. Ooh, I see an argument between this and Meta Breaker. Ooh, I like the conversation. Convince me. Convince me. Help me move her up to Meta Breaker, because I will say, like, I think she's, like, right on... I do agree that she could be on the cusp. Like, because she has to compete with Fischl, and I think that's the only problem she has, is that it's not that she's bad, it's that she's got to fight with Fischl. Meta Breaker, she's great in Cloran teams, Cloran, Fischl, Nahida, and Beto. Good point. She works well with Fischl and other Electro characters. Like, she plays nice with a lot. I think I would honestly say a year ago, I would have put her here. Because the best person that you could have put her with was Raiden. And you weren't allowed to do that because they didn't work. But now there's so many good options. I think she's a meta breaker. I think I'm agreeing with Sandra on this one. I think she's a meta breaker. Alright, time for a weird conversation. What do we think about Ningguang? Ningguang throws rocks at people. Those rocks can do a lot of damage. Like, a lot of damage. Like, good God, they hit hard. She's actually great. It's interesting because, like, I don't know if she's premium. She's at least fine. Like, I don't know about Ningguang. She throws rocks at people. Her C6 is super strong. And her damage is relatively high. Now, her playstyle, and, like, she has a bit of clunkiness for her, and I don't know if that's worth mentioning in the conversation, but I am inclined to go with just fine because she doesn't have the same level of Geo synergy that many of the other Geo characters have. Like, she's not as good as Noelle. She's not as good. She doesn't fit well with Goro as well. She works with Goro, just doesn't fit as well. She can work with Chiori at least, because she does Geo constructs, so... Well, actually, you know what? Jay works with Chiori. I don't know. Isn't Zhao meta? No. The way I describe meta breaker is like borderline. Like, he is right on the cusp of meta, but he kind of fell off a little bit, like just a smidge. I put him like right on the border. Like, he rides the line between meta and like off meta. Like, he's so close to either one. But the only reason I think he's like pushed out at this point is because monsters like Neuvillette and like Arlecchino are existing right now. There's too many monsters in the meta to make him like feel like as good. You know what I mean? You picking up what I'm putting down? Like, I feel like for the meta right now, you have to be disgusting. With Shinyu and Furina now, he rivals the best AoE team. But yeah, that's a whole team though. That is a whole ass team. That is 3 characters. If you're missing even one of them, he doesn't match up. Neuvillette, he's good on his own. Zhongling, you put her anywhere. Shincho, you put him anywhere. You know what I mean? Like, you have to keep up with these clowns, like, you gotta be a monster. So, yeah, his team, his full team, if you have every piece of that puzzle, monstrous. He keeps up. He's super good. But it's one very specific team, and you have to have every piece of the puzzle to make it work. So, that's why I say, like, he rides the line. Or, like, if you have the pieces, it's delicious. But, like, it's like, he's broccoli. Broccoli's not bad. But you add the cheese sauce, broccoli and cheese sauce, chef's kiss, it's beautiful. You take away the cheese sauce, it's still pretty good. It's not bad. Are you picking up what I'm putting down? Are you with me? Anyway, back to Ningguang. I tell you right now, Zhao is going to be like the biggest point of contention on this list, and I'm so ready for it. I'm so ready to, like... We're not at official yet. We still haven't rated Ningguang. Newbie can't even kill Hydro Slimes. Oh, you're right. You're totally right. He's garbage. Trash. Trash tier. We should put him to bad, because he can't kill Hydro Slimes. Beautiful. That's crazy. Anyway, I'm just gonna put Ningguang in fine, just because compared to her contemporaries, I don't think she keeps up. But I still think she's good. Like, I'm gonna put her, you know what? I'm gonna reorganize. I'm gonna put her at the very top of just fine. She's the top of fine. Okay, so I see already people jumping on Fischl as meta, and I'm inclined to agree. But you know what Fischl has that the other 3 don't? She has an off-meta build. We get to talk about an off-meta character. So, Physical Fischl is a real build for Fischl, and it's pretty good. As far as physical builds go, it's not bad. So, I don't want to talk it because she's a meta character that has a viable off-meta build. I want to talk about it. So, okay, so obviously Fischl, overpowered. She's so good. Regular Fischl, so strong. Meta-defining. Physical Fischl, though, what do we think about it? We're going to rate this as Physical Fischl, because she's the first one here that has a legitimate off-meta build. Okay, so, ooh. This is an interesting one. Bennett. Okay. Bennett. Benny boy. Benny boy. The Benny boy. The pipes are piping. Obviously. However, similar to Fischl, he has a legitimate off-meta build. Main DPS Bennett. Exactly. Kinkle knows where I'm going with this. Main DPS Bennett. Or even C6 Burgeon Bennett. That's another one. He has a couple of options. He actually has, as far as off-meta, like, his normal builds, he has more than one build. They're all very similar to one another. Like, they all kind of rely on his C6 to do infusion stuff, but I'm going to put him in Meta Breaker. I think I'm confident in that. I think he is a Meta Breaker by not playing to his strengths. I think if you play to his strengths, he's overpowered. I think if you don't play to his strengths and you do weird stuff with him, he's still overpowered almost. Like, that's crazy. I don't know if I can be unbiased here. I'm completely honest with you. My Noelle is monstrously good. But not everyone else's. I know the answer is premium off meta, but god damn it, you know I want to put her here. Again, options. That's another conversation to have, actually. I think we should include that in the conversation. How many options do they have? Noelle is okay. Now, Sander is turning this into a house of lies. Straight up. So Noelle, I think, has more options than Ito. Because she heals. And she shields. I think she has more... I honestly just think she's straight up better than Ito. And that's less of a bias thing. That's just my actual legit opinion. Well, 100% meta breaker, specifically Furina, I think. I do have a Furina team with her. It's okay. I think the Mono Geo was performing a little better still, but I think I just need to work on the team a bit. I agree with that, Kinkle. You know what? I'm gonna let my bias take true. No, I'm saying Noelle is okay, not bad. God, she's so much better than okay. I'm being biased. You can't stop me. This is my tier list. If you want to put her in fine or premium, I understand. This is my tier list, though. She's a meta break. You know what? Now, screw all y'all. She's OP. Okay, anyway. Alright, I'll be good. Let's move on, though. I don't want to take too much time on that one. Chungus. Okay, so this is an interesting one, because he used to be here. When the game first came out, definitely here. But man, he's fallen down into the pits. I think he just doesn't have a home right now. I think Chungus' big problem right now is there's nothing to do with him. What? Why are you wetting? Where do we put Jean? Jean's kind of good, right? Like, she fits in as just, like, a good Animo character. I think I just put her in Meta Breaker, right? Because, like, or maybe even Premium. I could put her in either here. I could make an argument for both. Animo, healer. Those two things are just good, right? Jean and Furina. So, that's why I want to say Meta Breaker, because I think on her own, without Furina, she's still super good. You add Furina to the mix, she's monstrously very good. She fits. Yeah, she fits into a lot of teams. It's like, oh, you don't have Kazuha, you don't like Sucrose, and you like Jean. No, just use Jean. She's fine. She's great. She gets the job done as an Animo unit, and she's just, you know, kind of good. Constellations are good. Standard banner, so, you know, she shows up all the time. Fall damage meta, very true. She can do fall damage. Sunfire? I'm surprised. I'm shocked no one mentioned Sunfire. Jean can abuse fall damage in the Abyss. Very true. Yep, as someone else mentioned before. No one talking about Sunfire. I'm a little offended. Because we love Sunfire on this channel. Sunfire's great. Yeah, you know what? Meta Breaker. She's like borderline meta because she fits into the meta. Being like an Animo unit, a good healer, and just brings good things to the table. But, you know, she's typically pushed out by like the more, the you know, the beefier options. You know, Chi-Chi has a really high use rate right now. Like, unironically, you know, Chi-Chi's use rate right now is like massive in the Abyss right now. I think it was this. I think it was this patch. Might have been last patch, but like I saw a statistic. Apparently, yeah, she's seeing a lot of Abyss time right now. But yeah, because she's such a good driver. I'm gonna put her in fine. Chi-Chi plus Chlorand is oddly good, Lamau. I could see that, sure. Like Chi-Chi Chlorand, Chi-Chi Furina. Like, you throw, like, if you want to, like, max out your fanfare, Chi-Chi Furina, like, literally instant fanfare boost. So many people got her C6. Revives are pretty good. I think the revive mechanic is a little slept on, but it's not bad. I wish I had Chi-Chi, funny enough. I'm gonna put her in just fine, but I'm gonna put her next to Ningguang, like, top of just fine. Where, like, she can, like, fit it, she can like play with the big dogs, like she can friggin' go when it's time to go. But on her own, she's a little weird. Okay, this is gonna be a difficult conversation as well, methinks. Keqing. Keqing, at one point, could have been down here. But she has received nothing but support and buffs and love throughout her existence because of Dendro. I am hard-pressed to think of any other character who deserves premium off meta more than her. Dendro changed the state of Keqing to such a way where, like, as long as Dendro is in the game, there will be a home that feels good for Miss Keqing. I think we all can agree with that. Yeah, it seems that's just anything. Dendro made her great. It did. Ventilation unit. I'd probably put him in the same conversation as, like, Jean and Sucrose, right? I don't think he's, like, as neat as Riku. He's kind of messy. He's a little bit on the messy side because, you know, the elevation thing that comes along with his burst. But damn, I'll be hard-pressed to say that if there's, like, any better, stronger crowd control of just, like, the black hole. Yeah, I think easily meta breaker. Maybe even just a little better than Jean. Clean. How the hell do we rate this thing? How do we rate this creature? Yeah, I know. He has two things. He has two things you can mention in his kit. Well, three things, actually. Geo Construct, which is, you know, Chiori stuff, obviously, is very good. He can fit any team. He doesn't matter. He just goes in, does damage. He doesn't think about it. Massive EM buff. You think meta breaker? She was meta at one point. She was definitely widely considered to be broken, overpowered bullshit. But now, I don't know if she is. Yeah, she sort of fell off. I'd put her top of it. Like, right there with, like, Zhao and, like, Dendro Traveler, like, right at the top of the meta breaker. Who are like, oh, we can poke our head into the meta. We can go, hi, meta, what's going on in here? And then just, like, do your thing. But just isn't quite there anymore. Just because they're, like, just a little bit outclassed. Ooh, Rosaria. This is a character I like talking about. This is my first main. You could make it... She has a lot of builds. Physical support, cryo support, and physical DPS. And she's just kind of good, right? Crit rate transfer, good damage, really good energy generation. Like, goddamn, that burst is up all the time. Meta breaker. I would, you know, I'm gonna be biased. I'd put her meta breaker, but top of premium, definitely. Like, I could totally see this. Mega underrated. 100% agreed. She is very, very strong, and not in on a lot of people's radars. Melt damage is really good. Hell, just even like her base damage is good, right? Like, you just throw at her like her burst during, like, for a freeze team or like a fridge team or anything like that, and you just drop the burst. It just hits hard. And more crit rate is more good. Where do we put Eula? We have a physical character in premium, so I feel like if we think physical official is a premium off meta character that's fun to work with, We gotta put Eula with her, right? Maybe even Meta Breaker, because she is the best physical carry. And it's not even close. Like, my Eula is pretty decked out, and she can get a lot of work done. She's strong. She hits really hard, it's just physical has the physical problems. It's like, she's like a Geo character. Where it's like, the character is really strong, but man, physical's really in a bad place. So you know what, I'm willing to put her with Fischl. Well, I don't think Eula doesn't have the issues physical does. What do we think about Ayaka? Because I don't even know what happened with her. I don't know how Cryo got, like, a couple of good characters that, like, buff some of their stuff, like Shenhe and stuff, and good Hydro units to make Freeze even better, and somehow Ayaka just kept getting worse. Like, same with a lot of the Cryo units, but, like, damn, Ayaka got, like, the worst of it. But, yeah, I think that's fine. Ooh, finally, a fun character. Sayu! Where do we put Sayu? Sayu obviously has the advantage of just being fast AF, boy. And, like, just being a great exploration character, but, like, in a team comp, just fine. I honestly want to move her up to premium off meta a little bit. But, because I feel like she has a few extra legs to stand on with Furina, but I think that just Furina makes her stand, like, gives her that little bit of extra boost on its own. Otherwise, yeah, just fine. Hold on, I'm struggling with my bottle of Pepsi here. Give me a sec. Alright. Kujo Sara. Kujo's a weird one. Because she has a Bennett level buff. Doesn't last as long. It's not quite as good as the Bennett buff. And she also has insane Electro synergies. I see a argument between fine and premium. State your case. Because I lean towards premium. Because that buff is really, really good and people sleep on it. And then you have the whole, you know, Electro hyper carry that she enables. I think, like, bottom of premium off meta, but, like, yeah, for, like, the Electro hyper carry on top of, like, all the other cool stuff that she can do. And just, she has okay damage on her own, weirdly enough. Like, you throw some damage stuff on her, she can hit pretty hard. People use Shinsho and Yelan over her a lot, and that's fair. Like, honestly, that's understandable, but, like, Kokomi's had a bad rap since release, and I still stand by that. Like, I think people just use her wrong. Like, they just don't know what to do with her. Like, they're just, like, straight up, man, like, throw her in a Taser team, it's great. Throw her in a Bloom team, it's great. Throw her in a Freeze team, it's great. Like, just use her, she's great. And she'll always have a home in those meta teams. Because if you don't like Shinsho, or God forbid you run both, you run her and Shinsho, or her and Yelan. Hell, I'm pretty sure the best Nilou team uses both Yelan and Kokomi. Like, I'm pretty sure it's like Nahida, Nilou, Kokomi, and, oh, who's the last one? Oh, I think it's Baizhu now. I think it was Yao Yao, but I think it's Baizhu now. But hey, there's another argument to be made. Furina and Kokomi are really good together. They're a really good pair, because guess what Kokomi does? She stacks her fanfare for her really fast. Like, she is an incredible way to stack fanfare super quickly because of how fast she's healing. It's why Chi-Chi's good at it. That's the thing, though. You say, like, there's options over her. I don't think they're better than her. I really don't. I get where you're coming from. I just don't think they're better. I don't actually think, yeah, Yelan hits and Shinsho hit like dump trucks, but I don't think that makes them better than her necessarily. Again, that is the, you know what, Kinkle? That's the problem. That is part of the problem. I see that argument all the time. All she does is heal and apply Hydro. Why does she need to do more than that? Why does she need to do more? She doesn't. You don't need more than that. Because, like, oh, I don't have Yelan. I don't like Yelan. Yelan is stinky. I think Yelan is stupid. I don't like her haircut. But I like Kokomi, so I can put her in. And she fits perfectly fine. and she feels good. But yeah. Shincho's dumb, though. Shincho's stupid. Shincho also has a dumb haircut, but that's neither here nor there. Can we rate the haircuts? Shincho, D tier. But my last thing I'm going to say on the matter is, for a lot of players, I think healing is underrated. I think people forget the value of a good healer, and they only remember that value when a Rift Hound shows up. And they're all like, oh yeah, right, I'm dying. And then all of a sudden Kokomi looks really appealing all of a sudden. Just saying. Next time a Rift Hound's in town, you're going to look to your Kokomi and you'll be like, you know what, I think that's really good, it's a good idea. Anyway, Toma. How do you feel about Thomas? Like, I think before Dendro he was, like, decent. I think after Dendro, though, breathe new life in him. I'm inclined to almost agree with you, but I think for Burgeon, because Burgeon is just kind of worse than Hyper Bloom in a lot of ways. It does do AoE, but I find it just it lacks a little bit sometimes. Oh, this is a weird one. How do we rate this? How do we rate the good boy? Like, if we're putting, like, the good Geo characters in, like, Premium and Meta Breaker, potentially, I feel like he has to be Premium, right? Because he, like, supports the Geos. And if you're running a Geo, you're running Goro 9 times out of 10, so I think he has to be. Though I like the idea of him being a Meta Breaker, though. You know what? You know what, Ray? I actually like your idea. I think he is a Meta Breaker. Because he lets Geo characters break into the meta. I think he enables a lot of shit that pushes characters beyond their limits. He is super niche, but the thing he does enables something unbelievable. You talk to people before Goro came out, Geo being playable, being half decent, seems impossible. You see, all of a sudden you throw Goro in the conversation, you're like, well, actually, hold on. There's like, now there's a discussion, right? I'm gonna put him in bottom of Meta Breaker because I actually think it feels right. He enables something that, like, no other character could ever do before him. He enabled something that most people would have said was impossible, and that was Geo being decent. Yaimiko. Elegy's ridiculous, though. Elegy's an insanely good weapon. Borderline overpowered. Like, all of a sudden, like, Elegy makes it so, like, do you use a bow? Ooh, can you use Elegy for me? Because it's so good. Meta Breaker, I think I'm inclined to agree with you. Yeah, she's really strong, and she brushes that line of meta so closely. She's, like, up here. Because she's peeking into the meta, and she's all like, I'm Electro that can stack EM, and they're all like, go away, and I'm like, okay. Like, yeah, like, she's like, I think she, like, pokes her head into meta, like, all the time. Like, she, like, looks in and be like, I can be meta too, and they're all like, and they just spit or something, because they're just, like, bullying her for some reason. Yaimiko is just getting bullied. That's the point. You get what I'm saying? You picking up what I'm putting down? Like, they're just bullying Yaimiko for some reason? What do we do with Ayato? Because, like, Neuvillette killed him, as far as I'm concerned. Neuvillette absolutely killed him. But, like, I don't know where he lands anymore, because, like, my Ayato for some reason feels like shit, and I don't know why. Breaker or meta, honestly. Yeah, I know. Like, he's not mid, but, like, mine feels bad. And I don't know why. My Ayato is great. My Ayato's built great, but he feels like shit. I don't get it. Yeah, I think he brushes into the meta. I'm gonna put him in the top as well. I think he, like, sits around with Yaimiko as well. Like, they're just peeking in. They're like, oh, and then Neuvillette just, like, throws him. If we want to be true to ourselves as human beings, the most flexible on-field Hydro character is Barbara. I'm just saying Barbara can do everything. She can do charge attacks. She can do normal attack. She can do healing. She's a catalyst, so she has no restriction on her Hydro application. She can do it. I think she's more flexible than Ayato. And it's a conversation y'all aren't ready to have yet. Based. Based is damn straight. Damn straight! You know I'm telling the truth. You know I'm right. Biased. Biased or based? I think I'm based. Because I don't use Barbara. I'm not... If I was being biased, I would have said Kokomi, but no, I said Barbara. Kale is a breaker, but damage just made her feel underwhelming for a long time. Yeah, I guess, but... She was always in the same conversation as Dendro Traveler. It boiled down to, like, preference. Even though Dendro Traveler base is a bit better, I think once you get Constellations and a few other, like, things mixed into it, I think she kind of she's either as good or better. But, yeah, they're like, one and the same, basically. You can't have, like, they're the same. Like, there's not really many differences on that one. Nilou. I think Nilou's meta, right? Nilou's a meta character. Her, like, Super Bloom is insane. And, like, there's 1.5 million ways of building it. Like, any combination of Dendro and Hydro. And you have a good team that's really strong. Most still think Sino is Garbo, and it sucks. He was never garbage. That's the thing. I don't think he was ever bad. He had timing issues. He didn't have damage issues. He didn't have mechanical issues. He had timing issues, because his burst was too good. Literally, his burst was just too strong. Because it lasted too long. Which is ironic when you think about it. The not nice way people think of Raiden. Understandable. Vape Nilou. How popular is Vape Nilou? Because I did a lot of Vape Nilou, and I'd talk about that. Let's talk about the off-meta build for her, then. Let's talk about Vape Nilou. Because I think that's a fair option. How do you think Vape Nilou fares? I think premium? I agree. I did a whole video including Vape Nilou on it, and you know what? It was shockingly pretty good. I had a lot of fun with that one, and it actually was like, wow, these numbers are, like, decent. What the hell? Vape Nilou is about as popular as Blue Nilou? Really? I think that's a bit of a bold claim, actually. Vape Nilou is only good with cons, though. I don't... my Nilou is C0, and she was doing good numbers. I would assume it's much better with cons. I'm assuming some of her... If you're being straightforward with me, and I take you at face value... assume some of her cons would buff it up a little bit. Most hate that it's locked to Bloom. I think you shouldn't hate that. I think it's okay for characters to have a cool niche. I think if every character can just do whatever they want all the time, I think characters lose identity. I think every character should have an identity. So Nilou having a cool, like, really specific niche that's, like, interesting, I think that's a good thing. Layla. Layla's interesting, because I think she's slept on a little bit, ironically. Considering how tired she is, I think she's slept on a lot. Her shield is bonkers. She has a bonkers big shield. And at C4, she gets even other cool synergies. I also like Layla. I just want her C4 so I can do more with her. Do we put... I don't think she's meta, though. I don't think enough people, like, look at her and be all like, yeah, she's top tier. Meta breaker, though? I think she's definitely a meta breaker. Stuck at C3. I might stuck at C1, man. I'm right there with you, man. It's rough. You think she's meta? Okay, you know what? If you're gonna argue... Alright, you know what? If you're gonna argue that, like, Kokomi is not meta, but you're gonna argue that just a shield is meta, explain. Explain. Let's hear it. What does Layla do? She makes a big shield. What else does she do? Apply cryo. Go on. I'm listening. It's not just a shield, though. Really? What else is it? Layla does damage. Not really. Her damage is pretty low. You could build her for damage, I guess, but Kokomi does damage, too. Yeah. I think if you have her, like, at C6, there's an argument to be had where her damage can be high. Because I think her C6 gives her some damage boosts. But I don't think it's great, though. Hey, welcome back, Squid. It's a lot of damage, as well as it's not small. Also gives buffs on cons, and is a great battery. Well, Kokomi's also a good battery. Her energy generation's pretty solid. Look, I'm just saying that you gave a lot of hate to Kokomi, and then give, like, a very similar style of character. Very niche, only does a couple of things very, very well. However, I will argue that I think the things that Layla does is really good. I think that she is really, really strong, and she does a very good thing, but she only does a couple of things. That's not bad, though. That's not a bad thing. I think what the issue is that they see that a character does, like, maybe 1 or 2 things, and they're like, oh, no, they're terrible. They only do, like, 2 things. And it's like, that's good, though. They can be really good at those 2 things. It's a very comfy shield. Yeah, I'm kind of agreeing with Kinkle. Like, if we're gonna say Diona is, like, a meta breaker, Layla should be in that same spot. Even though people will argue that, or not argue, it'd be like, there's an argument to be made that, like, her shield is better than Zhongli's. Though, I mean, it is really hard to beat, you know, the sheer, you know, resistance shred. It's hard to beat resistance shred. I know. Yo, Aiko, just so there's no misunderstanding here, Meta Breaker is the best tier. I did DPS Farazan for a video, and you know what? Damn, it was actually pretty good. Yeah, I have to put her in the Meta Breaker tier, I think. She enables too much good stuff. I'm gonna put her right next to Goro. If we're gonna argue that Goro enables Geo to do, like, some nutty things, she does the exact same thing for Anemo. She remolds Anemo in a completely different way. As well as just being an interesting DPS, potentially. She has a lot of conversations to have about her. She's interesting. She's rad. I think she's cool. Kinkle gets it. Hell yeah. Her DPS is really good. If I had her C6, it would have been even better. I was doing it at C1, and I was like, damn! It's like some real number. Kapachoo! Kapachoo! Oh my god! They're dead. I don't know meta. I just play whatever looks cool. That's understandable. I think the next one's going to be hard, though. I think this is legitimately going to be difficult. How the hell do you rate Wanderer? Where the hell do we put this guy? Because he's pretty good. But he's not meta. He's definitely not in the meta. He's good, though. He's strong. He's a hyper carry, so he requires a lot of investment, though. Which means he's hard to work with. And his team usage is a bit niche. Be like Zhao, but more flexible. I think Zhao ends up being... The sad thing is, I actually think Zhao ends up being more flexible. I don't know. I find Wanderer to be weird. Oh, you think they're just fine? Ooh, that's a big drop. I can see premium. Wanderer is hard to work with, I find. Like, my Wanderer is, like, a top-shelf Wanderer, but you've seen my Wanderer, like, struggle, man. It's weird. I heard an Amber main who switched to be a Faru main after they got her C6, because she's just so strong. I could see it. Meta Breaker? He is good. I just find, from my personal experience, I find him lacking. But, and I've shown my Wanderer, like, it's not my artifact. My Wanderer is cracked. Well, we all know where Dia... This is my tier list. She goes where I want. You can't stop me. Okay, but seriously though, I'm actually gonna put her in like right next to Wanderer. I think she's legitimately very, very good. I actually want to put her up here still because I do think that like she has all the homes that work. Realistically goes breaker, meta, off meta, fine, bad, no home. Something like that. It's like, meta's like its own like thing where it's like, these are all the broken characters. We don't have much to talk about. The meta breaker are the ones that like could like feasibly maybe push their way into the meta in some capacity or keep up with the meta in a meaningful way. Premium is like the cool fun stuff. Like this is cool, interesting, fun stuff that you can do that's viable still. Fine is like, it's playable. Like, there's stuff you can do with it, but, like, you're definitely going to feel the fall off. Bad hurts. Bad is just painful. Like, these are just hard to work with. And no home are for characters specifically that are like, this is a good character that does a good thing, but we don't have anything to do with them yet. Aiko, I will throw you. Dia Fiorina is a really good combo, but you know what else Dia can do that she's really good at? She can do a mean Burgeon setup. Her Burgeon setups are good. Her burning setups are solid. Her off-field potential's good. Her defensive abilities, like, again, people sleep on the 50% damage reduction. It's 50%, man! That's so good! Just take half damage. It's pretty good. But it's a conversation y'all still aren't ready to have, no matter how many times I show you my Dia. No matter how many times I show you how good Dia is, y'all are like, nah. Not good enough. And the knockback resistance, also slept on. I'm gonna put her in the... because it's my list. Again, there's arguments to be made here. I'm being biased. And I'm going to allow myself to be biased because that's my Dia. And you can't change my mind. It's fine. You'll just have to respect the fact that, like, it's my Dia. Top of premium. I could also... I want to put her bottom of Meta Breaker because I do think she is a potential meta contender. In some cases, in some aspects, I think there's some arguments to be made. But realistically, I think as just like a good all-rounder support, I think she's premium. Oh boy, Kaveh, the character no one's allowed to have anymore. Kave's good. Kave's like legit. Kave's pretty legit, man. He's not released yet, pretty much. Meta people say he's bad. Meta people say a lot of things. I think he's okay. I think he's a little better than... I've used him a lot. I have his C6. Yeah, you don't run him as DPS, though. He's a bloom driver. He's basically Nilou Light. You run him as a bloom driver, and you just drive blooms. The only problem he has is energy. His energy regeneration is an issue. But beyond that, I think he's good. I could see bottom of premium as well. I'm going to leave him in their, like, top of their fine. I think he's got that... Now we've got the example character of, like, the line in between premium and their fine. He's pretty good. But he's a little weird to work with. Is someone just trying to join my world? Whomst the hell are you? Ayato! The hell? I think he's upset about his rating. Oh no, I hope he's not coming to complain. Right, no, honest question, how is Baiju meta but Coco and Benny aren't? Kokomi because everyone's fighting with me on Kokomi. I want her in meta, but no one else does. I got fought down on this one. And for Bennett, we are rating certain meta characters that have an off-meta build to their off-meta builds to talk about. Oh no, she is! She's in the meta, but no one wants to hear it. People are throwing hands, Heiko. This is actually true. I'm not making this one up. You can actually check the VOD. I was threatening to throw hands with people. Unironically, and I'm pretty sure most people will confirm, Kirara is a meta breaker. I feel like I agree with that. Kirara is really good. She's super strong, because she's Dendro. She gives shield... She has shield synergies, Dendro stuff. She's pretty fun to run around with. Weirdly high scaling on her burst. And yeah, she can be a literal driver. Like, with like characters like that, like Kokomi and like Chi-Chi, who can be like good drivers for reaction comps. She's a literal driver. She has her little car thing. I know she turns into a cat, but in my head, she's just... I imagine her as a cat driving a little car, and I don't know why, and I can't stop thinking that way. Kirara is like Baiju Light, number 2. Kinda, but not quite as, like, consistent. Yeah, Linny doesn't even need a shield necessarily. You just need more pyro. How do you make Linny better? Just give him more pyro, guys. Send dudes. Like, just more guys. That's all you need. Great for speedruns. Upfront damage is really good. Lots of just a very simple synergy. Just more fire. What do you need? Just set them on fire. Do it again. More fire. Just be a pyromaniac. It's great. Okay. The girl whose name I always forget. What's her name again? Richard or something? Seriously, I can't remember her name ever. I forget her name constantly, and I feel bad. Because she has, like, a normal name. Oh, God. What the hell is your name? Charlotte. Thank you, Charlotte. She has such a normal name. Why can't I remember it? Yeah. She's good. I just don't use her that much. Her damage can be good. She scales with attack. She's a good healer. Application is solid. Off-field and on-field presence. Like, she does a lot. And I think she's kind of cool. I like her. I am going to go against the grain on this one. I'm going to go with... Oh, I got an email from Uber Eats. I don't really want Uber Eats, thanks, though. She's a meta breaker. I put her right here with Farazan and Goro. She brought a whole reaction back from the dead. And she made a lot of team comps work. Like, Arlecchino Overload is a team. And it works. And it's good. Dia Overload. Great team. Love it. You gotta give it, like, that is the definition of breaking the meta. When you resurrect a dead mechanic that's been dead for, like, that was basically dead on arrival, like, that's good. That's crazy. I'm not gonna say she made the reaction meta, but she's super strong. I'd almost agree with meta. I don't know if I'd push it that far. It's really close, though. I think she could be. I think that her team comps could find their way into, like, top-tier meta teams eventually. But I don't think they're there yet. I think she's, like... I think she will be there, though. I think there will be a time where, like, an overload carry is going to break the game. I think he's pretty high premium. I rate him highly. I liked him. I liked him a lot when I was playing him. So much so that, like, I was, like, planning, like, around getting constellations for him that I did not get. I only needed 2. I got 0. I spent, like, 200... Like, what was that? Like, 150 wishes? Give or take? God damn it. Now I'm mad. You think he's a meta breaker? I think he borders a little bit. I don't think he's quite there, because he needs a lot of stuff to help him push that level. Because if you really want him to pop off, you need... You probably need Shinyun. You probably need Cloud Retainer. And that's another 5-star character. Without that, I think he's still good. Which is why I put him in premium. I think he's like... He can push his way up there with the right support, but without it, he's still solid. And then, yeah, cons come into that conversation, which makes him even better. But, God forbid you're like me and can't get a single constellation for him. I swear I'm not bitter. I swear. I still think Venti is meta. I completely respect that. And you know what? I can see the argument. I think that's a fair take. Sethos. I don't have a Sethos. I wish I could talk more about him. I really do. She mothers so hard she became a father. It's true. That's the lore. Premium? I'm going to put him in premium with you guys. I'll trust you. I don't have anything to say on him. He just looks good. I think he looks cool. I think I like what he's doing. I think it's neat. I think he brings forth an interesting playstyle. DPS-wise, she does more than Neuvillette. Yeah, but he does more just by push. He pushes one button and doesn't need a team. That's the problem. He doesn't need a team. You push one button and everything dies. Okay? That is dumb. That is stupid. Like, holy crap. That's ridiculous. Like, holy shit. Top of meta breaker. I'm gonna inclined to agree with you. I'll put her like up here with like a lot of the other hard hitters. Cause I don't know where to rate her yet. Like, she could easily fit into this meta group eventually. I don't think she's quite there. Or at least she hasn't like found the home yet there, but like give it a month or two, she could be easily in here. And finally, the last one on this list to talk about, Siege Weenie. What do we feel about this? I think she's pretty premium. As just a good all-rounder healer with some other synergies that I think are neat. I think she's premium. And I think she might have some more stonks moving forward. I don't think she's quite meta. If I'm going to get yelled at for trying to put Kokomi in meta, there's no way in hell I can get away with this. Like, holy shit, if I tried that, I'd be lynched. They'd set me on fire or something. It'd be insane. But yeah, she's just out. She's too new to, I think, to really, like, rate and stuff. But yeah. Anyway, that's our list. This is the definitive meta to off-meta list. This is my off-meta tier list for characters that I think are totally fair game for my channel. And these characters are still fair game because I play what I want, but at the same time, these are the meta characters. These are the characters that are like the OP ones that I don't think I'll spend a lot of time talking about. But these guys, though, whoo boy, you better believe I'm going to talk about these guys. Kokomi should be meta, I know, but hey, it means if it means I get to talk more about Kokomi and like sing her praise, then I'll take it. But anyway, yeah, this is I think this is a solid list. And I think we'll follow this up down the line with a tier list of the characters I want to make videos about. That's the next tier list I want to do. If we do another tier list in the near future, it's going to be characters I want to make videos on. So, I'm going to wrap this up. So, for the people watching this on YouTube later that weren't part of the stream, thank you very much for watching, and cheers. That's all from me. Take care. And my next off-meta video will be coming out hopefully pretty soon. Though before that will be something else. So look forward to that. Anyway, bye-bye. Don't worry, we're not ending stream. We're not ending stream. We're not ending stream. Don't get confused. We're not ending stream.